article, and it's on Harvard Business Review, and it's called 5 Harmful Ways Women Feel They Must Adapt in Corporate America. And I read this article, and it was, I loved it. I loved this article. And the 5 ways, I'm going to read them real quick. Number 1, I need to be perfect. Number 2, I need to fit in to rise. Number 3, I need to sacrifice to succeed. Number 4, I need to do it alone. And number 5, success means having it all. And so on this, as I read this, what was so interesting is that my book, it incorporates all of these. I literally went through the healing of all of this and more on my healing journey in the last 5 years. And this is all included in Reclaim Yourself. And so when they talk about perfectionism, that need to feel perfect, to be hypervigilant, you could be doing well, but you always have this fear that something will happen, that you'll fail. And there'll be extreme self-criticism because you really want to exceed in life and you want to exceed and do well. And we were taught that the only way to exceed is to punish ourselves if we weren't doing what we were taught we were supposed to. And so that is number 1, this perfectionism. Number 2, and don't mind my kids. By the way, I have all 3 kids at home today sick, so don't mind them. So number 2 is the need to fit into rise, and how I see this is losing oneself. So here, there's this pressure to conform in order to be who you need to be. For me, I was the only woman in almost every single meeting. And when I was like 4 or 5 years ago, I sat down and I was like, I'm going to calculate this. And I had been at that time probably in 1,200 or 1,500 meetings. And in those 1,200 or 1,500 meetings, there were women in 20 of them. Okay, so I spent the majority of my career as the only woman in the room. And to say that I felt the need to not speak of emotion, to not speak of feeling, to ensure that I conformed is accurate. And it wasn't until 2018 when I made that shift to be more me, to reclaim myself, that I was able to start being more of who I am. And that's when everything shifted. It's when I brought in my gifts, when I brought in myself, that my career started to expand. And not that it wasn't before, it just was on someone else's terms. So in that fear that you need to fit in to rise, what comes is those censored conversations. It's the fear of judgments. It's giving up who you are to be who they need you to be instead of being who you are. So number 3, sacrifice. So this is, I need to sacrifice to succeed. Big thing here is boundaries. We have been taught from a young age that boundaries are rude or impolite. And so we learn that it's not okay to say no. On top of that, we'll take on extra work. How many Tiger teams have you been on, Miss High Achiever? How many Tiger teams have you been on, right? I've been on so many damn Tiger teams. And while it was good experience, there's no additional incentive or compensation or pay. And so you start to feel exhausted and you sacrifice your own well-being, and then you ignore the signs of your body, or at least that's what I did. And so I speak of this in my journey and Reclaim Yourself, because this is so important as we come back to ourselves, as we learn that we don't have to sacrifice to succeed. We learn how to listen to our bodies again and allow them to be the vessel of bringing forth love into the world, of bringing forth what we truly want and what we desire and who we are and who we want to be. Okay, so also they stated in this, between 3 and 4, is that all high-achieving women are burned out. Now, I will say that I still can have the role of high achiever, if you will, but I don't feel burned out anymore. I've completely shifted my life. And so as we move into, to number 4, their number 4 was, I need to do it alone. And these are those feelings of being unsupported. For me specifically, before 2018, I was a mom of 2, and I did it felt like I did everything on my own, okay? the taking care of the kids, the snacks, the lunches, the to and from school, the doctor's appointment, the dentist appointment, like everything you can imagine. I feel like I did the bedtime routine by myself, the morning routine by myself. And then not only that, I was also a full-time career woman, right? So I had these two roles that I was trying to juggle, and I felt so much resentment, not just at work, but in my home towards my husband and then at work. So there was a lot of strife. There was a lot of push. There was a lot of pull. It was a lot of this energy. Like I have to do it by myself. And that was one of the beliefs that I learned as a child growing up, is that I had to do it alone. And we don't, but we have to work through that. And so also on that need to do it alone, they talked about this focus on arriving. And that was where my focus was on arriving, on achieving, on getting to that next place. I was never able to enjoy the moment because I was always going somewhere and I always needed to get there. And quite a few times with the kids, I was 5 minutes behind, like at the doctor's appointments and the dentist appointments. I was really firm at work. But regardless, like that is how it showed up in my life. So number 5, success means having it all. So we are taught, or many of us, I'll say, were taught that we had to do it all. And I talked a little bit about this in number 4, I need to do it alone, but that we have to do it all, whether that's at work, we have to finish the presentation alone, we have to clean the house alone, we have to, schedule the appointments alone, we have to do this all on our own. And if we don't, then we're not succeeding. If we don't do it by ourselves, then it's not our success. But if everything gets done and you feel supported in the journey, then how is that not successful? And so it's here where we must shift our views, to shift them. And so it's success means having it all comes in 3 areas. 1, it's the not enoughness. I have to do it all because I don't feel enough. Number 2, I have to prove myself to show that I am enough, to show that I am worthy, to show that I am valuable, to show that I am lovable. And number 3 is that loss of balance. When we strive all the time to succeed, when we embody that success means having it all and doing it all, we lose balance. We lose ourselves. So if this resonated at all with you, read the book, Reclaim Yourself. I'll put the link in the bio. This is going to be a beautiful journey back to yourself. And the emphasis and the focus is on healing so that you could come back to you. All right? Have a wonderful day.